Okay, great. Shannon, were there any questions or comments from online?
No, there were not any.
Okay, great. So what was the next thing that was on our tick list? We just covered a little bit of freight, POs, kind of spent about an hour kind of talking about pros and cons and possible options. What was another option that?
Joe asked if we could work on bank reconciliation.
Okay, great. We sure can. Before we jump into bank reconciliation, let's figure out what's going on, okay? So what's the goal? Why would we want to reconcile our bank? Okay, you started laughing there, Cheryl. Why was that?
I'm just thinking about my own account. I like doing it online instead of once a month because it would never fail. I would write out a check, or then I'd slide a card, or somebody else would write a check. It was something I didn't know about, and all of a sudden I didn't have what I thought I had, and of course I'm sure no one else goes through this kind of thing. But anyway, I love the idea of it being daily, minute in, so I know exactly what is there instead of whoops.
Okay.
You know,
okay. Good,
got to
good.
have that one.
Mm-hmm.
That is important. That's very important, okay? Where does the bank, who's it connected to, and where does it end up going, okay?
Well, you have to put some deposits into the bank.
Okay, so we want money coming in. We call that a deposit, okay?
Right.
Sounds pretty standard. Normally, they will come from invoices, or like we did earlier today, a special balance sheet item, or possibly even from a vendor giving you some sort of like a bonus or a kickback or a incentive or whatever, okay? Every once in a while, this doesn't happen very often. Pretend that this is a small dot. Sometimes you'll actually get some money from vendors, okay? Coming back in. Usually it's customer-based through invoices, and that's the standard flow.
Yeah.
This is called investments, and that's dealing with balance sheets, okay? This is like a refund or a credit or sometimes you do get some physical monies, a rebate, whatever. Every once in a while you get some money from the vendor, okay? But usually those are your ways that money comes into the bank through deposits. Okay, let's talk about money going out for a minute. Pretty close right here. Is that where we're headed?
Yep.
Money going out, expense receipts, okay? Perfect. So these two things kind of feed into this bank right here. As we spend money, what ends up happening?
Well, the expenses also end up with profit and loss.
Okay, there's a couple sections on here that it might hit. Both of these things eventually affect the balance sheet, correct? Because we have the bank that's going up and down. This bank, in order to draw this model, we had to put it in here to kind of make it look square. Technically, the bank might be completely outside. You might have multiple ones of it, okay? But we drew it here so that it would look here, okay? This is Wells Fargo, this is Chase, and this is First National or whatever, okay? They technically don't reside in your model, but we kind of had to put a little placeholder for them. So just know that they potentially could have many, many banks that are being stacked. Just for the model's sake, we do this, okay? Banks affect balance sheets eventually, and so we want to reconcile the bank. Okay, who does this? Yes, Shannon.
Joe's also wondering, while you're going into banks, if you could incorporate maybe into this, is how about a bulk deposit from a big sales day or a week or a month with multiple invoices and payment types?
Not a problem, okay? Cool. So should we go to a pretty big deposit? Let's kind of put it in there and then we're going to go verify it. Okay, so there's a couple different dates that happen, okay? Let's talk for briefly, really quick. Before we get into verifying banks, we need to also remember this, okay? This is a piece that often gets left out. If this is our goal to make sure that this thing's perfectly sound with expenses and deposits and wherever their sources are, how does time play into this? Okay, watch this. If I get tons of invoices and I'm holding the money in a cash register and then I make the deposit, how long is it until the bank actually sees that? Remember, it looks like the bank is right here in our model. Remember how I had like a couple banks out here? What if I recorded the deposit in my system but it was late at night, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just take that money to the bank in the morning, okay? Automatically, there's a day difference, assuming that they're open that next day. What if it was like, it's Friday, I missed it, they were closed on Saturday and Sunday, and Monday was a holiday, all of a sudden that's a 4-day difference. Does this get important for bank reconciliation? It does, it's important, so we take that into account, okay? Time is very important. We have 2 different basic dates that we deal with, okay? One is called what we call like the book date, or when it happened, okay? That's its first action status.
That's recorded in Atlas, right?
Correct. So once again, if we're doing that same little rough analogy, and I don't have time to draw the whole thing, watch this, okay? Click. It happened in Adilas, okay? So there's this element of time, and it's just kind of sitting there for a while. I got it, cool. I'm happy that I reported it. Oh, the bank saw it, cool. Now I need to make sure that the bank sees it. This is bank reconciliation, okay? This is normal operations. I've got monies, I've got deposits, I've got expenses, I'm paying bills. Uh-oh, did the bank see it? Am I able to advance that ball to that next level, okay? In the meantime, it'll just sit here saying, cool, I've got a date, I'm recorded, I'm not going to bounce a check because I know I've got plenty of money, or according to what I know, and the bank over here is like only showing you stuff that actually happened. So it's literally a next stage, okay? So we're gonna jump into some bank balancing. Let's go ahead and do Joe's thing as far as a bulk deposit on multiple invoice payments. This is the standard way to go get what we have. I'm going to go ahead and flip really quick to just my home page, okay? And I'm going to go to my deposits. This is where I like to look at it. There's a cool little link up here, payments not yet deposited, okay, which is technically part of our receivables because it hasn't really hit our bank. I have 37 of these guys, clear back from 12, okay? So basically this is a play site, so nobody's really been monitoring it. I have 2 new ones that happened, a Visa and a Cash, that happened today. What let's do is let's actually pretend that we were going to build some stuff. Look at this, 969696. Here's a couple different ones that happened, okay? Let's pretend that we were going to be doing a deposit for 96. You see how those dates say 96? This is back in time. But let's pretend that we're now back in that time in 96. Here's how I could do it. Deposit, new, go. I don't even know how much that's going to be, okay? But we're going to back this up a little bit. This was 96 of 12, okay? Going back in time, and basic sales deposit. Sales, add the deposit. Now, why did I put 0 right there?
So you can fix it later.
I'll fix it later. I have no clue, okay? Watch this. I'm going to say, add that deposit. Click. So technically, here's all of my information. I'm going to change it so I can see all of these different pieces. Hit search just so you can kind of see all my 37, okay? Now, if I wanted to, I could scroll down here and go click, 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 or I could select them all. There's lots of different ways I can do this, but I'm going to find my ones for 96. Here we go. Cash, gift card, and cash. Perfect. 96, 96, 96, okay? So down below, you can't see it because I've got a whole bunch of things going on. It's actually adding up my values, what I'm actually going to be doing for my deposit. I come down here. Here's a selection. Look at the naming right here. We've been talking about tons of these things today. Expense types, deposit types, okay? How do I want to classify that? And I'm going to currently say this is normal revenue from invoice sales. What's going to end up happening is this $250, this is what the bank will see. One lump sum of $250. But to me, in my system, I need to know that that satisfied this one, this one, this one, and here's what it was actually for. Like, I got tons of information, okay? I'm just going to go ahead and put it under Sacramento right now. Add that to the deposit. Click, 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 okay? And basically starting to clear that out of that information there, okay? Now I do have a problem. It says check math. So Shannon, what would I do here?
Edit the main.
Edit the main. Perfect. Okay. Come right here. It says $250 and $26. So people have asked us often, like, why don't you guys automatically update that value? Well, how do we know when you're done? What if I wanted to add all of my cash payments? Then I wanted to go back and go all of my check payments, And so I'm still in the middle, and then all of a sudden I get an hour-long phone call. But if I come back to this deposit, it might be like, hey, cool. Like what we do is we purposely leave it apart so that you know that you have to come back and fix it. We didn't know all of the information, but now we do. So we're going to fix that. Click. So now it's very happy. Okay. It tied all of those different pieces together, and it's happy. My bank balance just went up. According to this date, way back in time, 9/6/12, my bank balance went up. Okay. I stuck it in that brick of time. Yes, Cheryl.
Only on paper because you haven't deposited yet.
Okay, correct. According to the system, I remember how we drew those little different holding containers?
Right.
Okay, so the first holding container, what we did is we basically said this, sweet, I have a new deposit. It hit, I know the exact date, I know the amount, I actually know all the invoice pieces, everything's good to go, okay? It cleared it out of my receivables because it's no longer sitting in my drawer. According to the system, it's like, okay, cool, I'm going to apply it to the bank. Now, the bank reconciliation, which we'll do in a minute, actually comes, when did the bank see it? Click. Oh, that was 2 days later, or whatever it might be, okay? And when we do bank reconciliation, we can do it on a item-by-item basis, or we can do it in bulk, okay? Because often we'll pull up multiple windows and we'll have our online banking, and then all of our Adilas transactions will be like, oh, they finally saw that one, good. Oh, they finally saw that one. That's bulk versus independent, like one by one, okay? Either way, we have to eventually get that second date there so that we know what's happening. This was one simple little deposit. Let's actually go ahead and say deposit homepage. We'll grab some more payments. Let's look for another one. Let's grab all of the cash. I know we have tons of different dates, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to build a simple deposit. We're going to get every cash payment regardless of when it really was, and we're going to put it in for today's date. We're pretending right now for a second, okay? So this is a day's worth of activity. We have 34 invoices. We're going to build all of that into one invoice. So I was going to use the quick search. It's just as easy to go deposit new, okay? Click. I have no clue what the value is, and we're just going to put all cash. Add the deposit. This is the normal way that it wants to help you build your invoices. You apply the payments to the invoices, and then you eventually deposit it, because that's what naturally happens. You don't just put money in the bank and then be like, oh, yeah, where did that come from? You go satisfy the pieces first, and then you let it flow in. Otherwise, you can potentially get a small disconnect, okay? Your invoices could be sitting out there being like, I guess I'll just sit here in receivables because nobody told me that I was the one that got paid, even though you put that money in the bank. You basically put the cart before the horse, okay? So ideally, and I know that we're kind of in here doing a cash ticket, here's what the ideal scenario is, okay? A customer, through a shopping cart, creates an invoice, okay? If you get all of the monies, you hold it right here in the corner of your receivables. It's not technically a receivable, but it's almost like money in your drawer, okay? Pretend like this is my drawer right here. This is my drawer. The other pieces that are in here, these are ones that didn't pay, okay? So once I gather up all of these invoice payments, I can create a deposit and then attach it to a bank. That's the normal flow, okay? My invoices are happy, this happens, I then deposit my invoice payments into my bank. That's the normal flow. If you skip that and you try to do something funky, here's what you end up doing. You're like, I've still got a bunch of stuff, money that was owed here in the receivables, and I instantly just did a deposit for the money, and I just created this connection. Do you guys see how that could potentially throw off your numbers? What about all these little things? What are they doing? They have no clue that that $500 actually was meant to satisfy and wipe those out so they were no longer there, okay? That's why we recommend that it kind of comes from this way, invoice payments up to deposits. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go grab all cash tickets right now, and I'm going to show you how easy this is. So, new deposit, it's number 22. I currently have no clue how much it is. I'm not worried about just Sacramento. I want to get all, but I do want to get all cash tickets. Click. Go get it. Bloop. Okay, it came back with 28 items. I'm looking right here. I haven't even looked at them yet. If I scroll down, there's a whole bunch of them. Basically, this is the piece that I'm looking at, cash, 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 cash. From potentially even different locations, wherever they might have been from their invoices. I'm not even worried about that. I'm going to go like this. Click, select all of those. Come down to the bottom, it'll tell me how much. I'm going to put $3,200 in my bank. Yes, I do want invoice sales, and sure, let's go ahead and just do it from the Sacramento location. This location on a deposit isn't near as important depending on the bank, okay? Like, it's actually more important to have a bank versus a location, but you could potentially be like, oh, I got this one from my retail outlet, and this one from my web outlet, and this one from my, it's another way to kind of search and filter things. But right now, I'm like, sweet, let's put this stuff in there, okay? Click, add it to the deposit. In the background, I just added, here's my one-to-many relationship. One deposit. It has a very simple main. It's tied to a bank. It has a number. This is its key number. This is the individual number. Now it has 28 line items worth $3,200. Okay? Look at all these invoices that were actually back time saying, hey, cool, I'm going to gather up all of this stuff out of your payments not yet deposited. Okay? 28 of them is creating all sorts of little cross ties to those other things. So I'm going to edit my main to update my actual count. We want it to be the 3,200. And edit that deposit. Boop. It's super happy now. Everything's good to go. Okay, here's a cool thing. If you actually do it in the correct fashion, basically, once again, kind of like you're playing that game of golf, you're on the fairways, watch what we do. If you go to any of these invoices, let's pop into 96 right here. So I'm currently in the printable mode. If I go into the edit mode of 96 and I scroll down to that particular payment, guess what it'll tell me? Just so you know, this $20 cash actually hit deposit 22. I'm creating ties and connections. If you play on the fairways and the greens, we will create these automatic connections for you, okay? It helps tell the story, okay? If you don't and you just randomly put in 20 bucks, you have no clue, this thing's still sitting out there going like, I got some money here, what should I do with it? Like, it can create some disconnects, okay? I'm just going to go back. We're going to actually go to the deposit home page right now for a minute. Home and deposits. Here's my new little entries that I did. I've actually made 3 deposits, but if you remember, one of them was clear back in 12. It was like 6 something of 12, 6/9 of 12. The reason it's not showing right here is because of this. It's just a running 30 days. If I wanted to back that up, let's go 6/1 of 12 and say, what have I got for this span? Okay, there's all my other ones. But you'll notice that these are the dates. Now this is kind of important. This is what we were talking about. Remember how we drew the different little categories and like, what does Adilas say and what does the bank say? Here is the difference, okay? This is the first blurb, okay? Okay, here's the next blurb. What can you see from what I drew around this thing? How many of them have been passed to the next level?
1.
1, okay? One little guy down here, okay? No problem. So basically, guess what this means that's going to be out still for bank reconciliation on the deposit part of it? A whole bunch of them, okay? A whole bunch of these guys. They've never been verified. They've never been advanced from when Adilas says it happened to when the bank says it's been happened. And the terms that we use is called the verified date and the deposit date, okay? Those are your 2 different little stages and statuses.
The date is when it actually was, when the invoice was created, or when it was actually deposited.
Let's go like this, okay? This date right here, Adilas date, okay? This date right over here, bank date. Okay, does that make sense? A little bit better sense? Okay, awesome.